Hello, friends select. This is the Labrador Retriever.
So we're gonna try something new today, dual recording as I go down the street and try not to get in trouble for it. Basically, I wanted to go over what happened in my airport experience with checking a firearm. First I get to Seattle SeaTac Airport, go to the check counter. I'm dealing with a agent that can hardly speak English, and then her manager had to kind of take over for some of it. And so I got past the check at the counter thing. You just fill out a little slip and they put it on the hard case that's inside the bag. And then zip that all up. And then she had the younger agent that didn't hardly speak English. Told her to go off to the baggage check office thingy or show me where it's at. She escorted us across the airport and down a level to the regular baggage check or oversized bag check door, not office, just the door where the oversized bags come out of the baggage claim carousel for like when you're flying into Seattle. They come out there. And then because she hardly knew what she was doing with it, because Frontier didn't train her on firearms or anything, she tried to tell me to leave my bag with a firearm in it, not loaded, but ammo with the gun, unattended right there at the door, and some TSA agent will eventually get there and do something with it. I'm like, no, that is not how it works. That's not how federal law works. You can't just leave the gun unattended from my hand to the next person. So she argued with me about that. We had to call her manager back on the phone, talk to the manager on the phone for a minute. She came down. They switched positions. The other young lady that can hardly speak English, which is a mistake on Frontier's part to begin with. Why do you have someone at the counter agent that can hardly speak English just on purpose to piss customers off? It makes no sense. Why would you hire somebody like that? But anyway, so the manager takes over, brought me back upstairs, and then showed me that hopefully in most airports, at the end of the counter, so you have a bunch of check-in counters, ticket airline counters, somewhere at the end, usually in the middle of all those counters, at the one side end of the ticket counters, is a small TSA office that handles special items like firearms and oversized bags and whatever else that they have to check that can't go through the regular checking machine process. Like if you check a bag and it won't fit through their door at the check counter, it has to go to that office. And a singleized, a TSA agent whose single job it is to do that, wiped the thing all over the foam of my pad looking for explosives. He had me unlock it, did all that, then he had me lock it back all up. I took pictures of that from that point on, to show that I, for sure, left my firearm in possession of a TSA agent the last I saw it. In case something happened, it didn't show up later on, I could be like, no, I turned it over, here's proof. I leave, I get on the airplane. The next thing I know, the airplane was bigger size airplane than what I originally signed up for on the Frontier browser. I signed up and saved for $19 extra for row 13A, which when I signed up on the browser was an exit row seat, and I remember it was because it gave me the dialogue that said I have to claim, for a disclaimer, that I am able-bodied and willing to help in the event of an accident. You claim that you're able-bodied, blah, 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 and I had to hit yes on that specifically in order to save that seat, so I know I had an exit row. I get on this plane is bigger than the one that they originally were going to sell. They had more people sign up for it, so they upped the plane, which is fine on their part to do that, but they ought to recognize automatically that anyone who paid for an exit row seat should get pushed back to another exit row seat, even if that means they have to change the seat number. But anyway, so the exit row seats became like 15 and 16A or whatever on my side of the deal, and I was in 13A, cramped in seat. Because the plane was full and there's nothing I could do about it, and the fact that my firearm was also doing its own thing underneath and hopefully getting on that plane, blah blah blah, I didn't want to screw all that up, so I just cramped myself in there for a 2-hour flight from Seattle to Denver. Got off in Denver, asked the agent there at the Denver ticket agent that she's coming off the gate there at Denver, told her all about that. She could hardly speak English also, which I found to be pathetic. And then anyway, I decided I'm not going to get any luck there doing anything, and if nothing else, she'll just probably screw something up, and again having to do with my firearm underneath. I didn't want to screw anything else up with its trip. So I continued on. I waited for the 16-hour layover in Denver, went to fly into Chicago Midway on the next flight. I did get the 3A, which is the preferred kind of first 3 rows seat there with extra leg room, so I didn't screw that up at least. I'm going 45 and a 65, I don't know if you can tell. But anyway, I'm also driving this huge ass box truck that's probably getting 5 miles a gallon. But anyhow, so back to the story. We landed at Seattle Midway. I make it down there, Carousel 1, where they say the regular bags come out of, because you got to, as when you check a firearm, I was told more than half the time, it comes out on the regular carousel. That truck's setting it off. But anyway, so I was watching the carousel, and thankfully the oversized office, or the oversized bag carousel was next to the regular carousel, so I'm just standing there between the two. Regular carousel 1 fires up, that goes around for a while, and wouldn't you know it, right in the middle of that regular carousel that has access to anybody, any Joe Schmo can take your bag or whatever, here come my bag off of carousel 1. It was not escorted over to the baggage claim office for Frontier like it should have been. I went to speak to the baggage claim office people, the manager down there. He was another foreigner that can't hardly speak English, but he tried to claim that, it's a firearm, firearms, sometimes they come out of the carousel too. I'm like, no, it's against federal law. They should have been handed over from TSA back through Frontier, and then Frontier should have escorted it to that baggage claim specialties office, because you're supposed to ID whoever picks up the firearm to make sure they're the person who's supposed to get it. Because I relinquished, I surrendered my possession of that firearm to you guys through TSA. It should come back through me, through you guys', Frontier baggage claim office. Somebody should have handed it off to me there to keep the firearm secure. They had no idea what the hell I'm talking about, pretty much. And if he did, he's trying to deny it, like we didn't know that. We don't have policy that does that. I'm like, yeah, you do. I read it on the thing, you do. So next time, I'm going to print off both the Frontiers. Well, I'm probably not going to take Frontier next time, but because of that. But I'm going to print off the airline's firearm policy and TSA's firearm policy and the federal law saying that they have to do it, to make sure that these people do that, because I cannot believe both Seattle wanted me to leave it completely unattended at the door and hope that a TSA agent eventually gets there to check it, with the other regular off-sized bags, that like a golf ball bag, golf club bags, and like paddle boat bags or whatever the hell those things were. They wanted to just leave it there unattended, like anything else. They didn't care. I could not believe that Seattle they handled it that way, pathetically, because there's a firearm in that case, and that's their liability as much as it's mine. And then you get to Chicago Midway, and they allowed it to come out on the carousel. That part I could half-ass to believe, because the baggage people are just pretty much kids, and they don't pay attention as much. And I told the Frontier baggage office manager that can hardly speak English that you guys need to come up with a different colored tag or something, and train your baggage people that red colored bag or tag or whatever the hell it is does not go into the regular line of bags when it comes off the plane. Instead, it gets escorted all the way to the office. It's that simple. All they got to do. They put everybody else's there as green, put the firearms and whatever else that are sensitive as red, and anything red that comes out of that plane goes onto its own cart and goes escorted right to the baggage office, is what should happen to it. I mean, it's that simple. They don't even have to read it. They don't have to scan the barcode or nothing if they see the color red tag, take that red tag to the office. How simple is that? But apparently they don't want to do that. That was an Indiana State Trooper, and it's against the law, technically speaking, to be on the phone while operating a commercial vehicle, so I hope he did not just see me, because I was not paying attention. Shit. Got his lights on down there too. I don't know what he's doing for sure. I think he's cleaning stuff off the highway. I don't think he's coming this way. But anyway, that's the story that happened altogether, and I better hang this up before I get in trouble. But anyway, that's the story of what happened on my trip from Seattle through Denver, through to Chicago Midway, and then of course from there I took the South Shore Line train and Uber over to Goshen and picked this truck up, and I will show you this truck in the thumbnail. But it's a really big Honda Inu or whatever the hell they call it, version of a foreign box truck. 13-foot high. And that's why I'm going 45 and at 60, because it's gonna eat all the diesel fuel, whether it go fast or slow anyway, and this is double lane, so I might as well just go slow and coast it, and just take 2 days getting it there, because it's gonna eat the profit as is anyhow. This trip is pretty much a give and take. I mean, it's gonna pay for itself for 2 days, but I'm not gonna make anything off of it outside of the trip itself. But I'm basically killing the weekend, because today's Sunday. Gives me somewhere to go Sunday, Monday, and then fly back. Or I may not fly. It's short. This is going to the Twin Cities, so Goshen, Indiana, the Twin Cities is 530 miles, pays $520. Most likely, this thing's going to take $300 in diesel fuel, which will leave me the grand total of $200. And then, on average, depending on how good of a deal I can get with the bus back or not, the bus is like $150 to $200 to take a bus back and do the bus, train, lift thing all the way back to Goshen. You combine all that together, it's somewhere between $150 and $200. So I will be lucky if I make $50 in this whole deal, and then some of that, what I don't make there will be food. You know, I'll spend $20 a day or whatever in food. Basically, it all comes out to be a wash. I don't make anything extra. Like, I'm talking money-wise when I get back to Goshen. I'll be in the hole, well, not in the hole, but at zero. The same as I was when I started this crap. But anyway, I did want to say that last one did pay pretty good. That one I was talking about, that truck that I drove over to, well, it was a small class CRV that showed you in the other videos, that I drove from Goshen, Indiana to Washington State, Fife, Washington, which is a suburb of Seattle. It paid pretty good money, but I let quality keep it all, pretty much, or half of it, and use the other half to get home, because that paid my escrow off. So at least I don't have the $1,500 deductible insurance escrow that we all have to keep as independent contractors. They take a percentage out of every trip until you get that $1,500 paid off. So they've been taking $30 or $50 or sometimes $100, depending on how many miles and how much you're getting paid each trip is. But I had her keep $541.17 of it to pay my escrow completely off to $1,500. So they now have $1,500, which now I'm liable for $1,500 if I were to ding something here. Instead of having 1,000 in or 1,200 in, they sue me for the other $300 or whatever. Instead of all that, I now have the $1,500 with them, and if I end up damaging a unit or whatever, they can take it out of that. It's the idea that helps pay their deductible and their insurance. But if it doesn't happen and someday I quit, I get, for 45 days from when I quit, I get $1,500 back. And then on top of that, having paid that escrow off now, and they're not going to keep the $30 or $50 or $100 out of every trip, which is going to help with these short trips, since they've only been giving me these little 530-mile trips. Now at least they don't take the extra $30 or $50. But anyway, we're getting up to where I got to get on the interstate for Chicago. So pretty soon here, and so I better be paying attention before I miss it. There's Michigan City, and then after this intersection will be way down there, 5 miles or whatever, will be the intersection for 94 west to Chicago. And I'm driving this way specifically so I can skip the 90 and 80 toll road. 94 will cruise through there and connect to 80, but it does so after Indiana, and I don't have to do the Indiana tolls, because the Indiana tolls, you have to stop and pay ahead of time, and then I have to get them reimbursed. And anytime I have to reimburse something, there's a chance that my pay will be held back until the end of the day, when other people's paperwork that they send in does not have reimbursements, gets paid first. Which I don't blame her for doing that. You know, we'll handle the simple stuff first, and then handle the problems after that. And so because of that, I'm trying to avoid any extra reimbursements. And so Chicago's tolls I don't have to worry about. I can just drive through it. It zaps the plate, and a month later they charge quality. Quality charges the manufacturer, and the manufacturer plays the plate back because it's already as part of the deal for any of Chicago, Illinois area tolls. You can just drive through it because they don't have a spot to stop anymore anyway. They used to when it very first started. They used to have those booths to have to stop at, but now they don't. So now they pretty much force these transport companies to do it that way, even though transport companies don't like doing it, because sometimes the manufacturer makes them charge it or pay for the extra fees of having to mail it out to them or whatever. That isn't technically covered by the toll, but now they've worked out the agreement where Chicago, you just drive through and they reimburse the manufacturer, and it's all done on their end. I don't have to do it. But anyway, that's why I'm on this road, is I'm skipping the Indiana toll road, because there is technically a closer Indiana toll road, but I just didn't take it because I don't want to go through all that. It's just easier to go around it, and this is, with this big of a truck, it's easier to go this slow anyway. But anyway, I better get off of here so I can make sure to not miss my turn. Like and subscribe, leave comments. I'll check you out a bit.